right. So, intergenerational transmission of poverty. This is where I had this thought for the first time of generational poverty. Poverty can have a generational effect, with children of impoverished parents more likely to experience poverty themselves. Parental financial behaviors and attitudes towards money can be passed down to children, perpetuating a cycle of financial instability, according to Conger and Conger 2002. Breaking this cycle requires a combination of financial education, support, and resources to encourage healthier money management habits. All right. Here's the thing I've learned about money. Everybody like getting money, but not everybody like doing what it takes to make it. Especially doing the legal thing that it takes to make it. Because let's be real, a lot of times the fast money, that's why people get into the illegal lifestyles and making money is like, and I'm talking whether that's white collar crimes and people trying to make an extra lick, or you in the hood and you selling whatever, doing whatever. They both the same to me. It's both two people that are driven by money so much so that they need to make it really fast. Like they like, I just want to make this real fast. And that's a bad attitude towards money. Money is more of a process. It's more building. And a lot of times what you're building doesn't really have anything to do initially with the money itself. It's more your mindset and how you build things in life. That's why I love talking about this. Because some of us, when the poverty mentality gets passed down to us, we might be thinking, I make good money. I'm straight. I ain't in poverty. The mentality was passed down to you. You might have a poverty mentality towards your job, a poverty mentality towards how you raise your kids. You might have a poverty mentality towards a lot of things. And I'm going to say this, what I love about this generational effect of poverty and how he explained it in this article was that it's a combination of things needed to get you out. You really need a combination of everything we talked about today, from literacy and education to the willingness to even get resources like a podcast like this, like to have a conversation, the openness to think outside of your box, exposure. Education and exposure are so key, because some of us, we can't believe something until we see that it's a reality, right? Now, that might be an area that we weaken faith, right? Because some people might be like, oh, by faith. But I'm just dealing with the reality of it. Like some people can't even think about not living check to check because everybody around them normalizes being check to check. And one of the biggest problems in poverty is so much negativity is normalized. Let's keep it moving though. Let's check this out, and then I'm gonna get out of here, bruh. Am I sharing? No, I ain't sharing. Let me go back to sharing. You feel me? Oh, the last thing was mental health and poverty. The stress of living in poverty can have a significant impact on mental health, which in turn can affect an individual's relationship with money. Chronic stress, anxiety, and depression associated with poverty can lead to impaired decision-making and difficulty in managing finances. Listen, that's kind of deep to me, because this idea of like the mental health aspect of dealing with poverty is interesting, because again, when you are living in poverty, the reason it's this domino effect is because everything costs money. That's like I tell people all the time, like you always hear this term, and don't get me wrong, I know there's some truth to it, but you hear this term a lot when you grow up poor. It's like, we ain't had money, but we had love. But I never had nobody call me to borrow love. Like every time somebody calls me, they want to borrow money. They don't want to borrow love. So what does that mean? It doesn't mean money is greater than love. No way possible on the face of the earth. But what it does mean is money might not be first, but it ain't in last place. Like it ain't the last thing. So we talk in these extremes where either money has to be everything or it has to be nothing. No, money is something. And we need to try to figure out what is that something? Where's the place that it belongs? So we can understand as believers and through a healthy lens, like, yo, how do I talk about this? And I'm going to tell you the other reason I believe in talking about, money from a healthy perspective. And that is because you will otherwise get manipulated. So you have people complain all the time about churches and money and all that. And I'm not about to knock churches right now. That's not the point of this conversation. But what I can tell you is that when you are financially literate yourself, that education protects you from manipulation. I tell you about like going to a car dealership. Man, before I was financially literate, I remember I bought this Monte Carlo in college. One of my last years of college, I got this Monte Carlo. Man, that mug was dope too. One of my favorite cars. Got the Monte Carlo. This was a car I really wanted. So on one hand, it's a good part of the story. Like I said, there's balance to the stuff I'm talking about. You don't have to be an extremist to hear what I'm saying. There's balance to it. This was a car that I had printed out and put on a wall, not on my desk in my dorm. So I looked at it every day and I had to wrote the word motivation on there. I really wanted this car. And I had a red one on there. I ended up buying a cream or off-white or whatever. So I'm in the dealership to get this car. And I remember my man was like, well, I need to go back. So first he came out and it was a high note. It was a very high car note. Like, let's say if it was like 455, 475, I think it was. I'm like, dang, 475. Like, I don't remember how much money I was making working at the credit union, but it wasn't enough to pay 475. And I remember telling my man, like, I need my payment to be right here. He was like, hold on, let me go ahead. I'll be back. My man go to the back. He do the whole let me talk to my manager thing. I wasn't hip to it then. He come back like, all right, I got it down to, let's say if it was 375. These numbers I'm making up, but it was something like this. He like, I could do 375. I was like, what? I can get the car for 375? Like, yeah, I'll take it. And I remember I had that car, loved that car, tinted the windows. That car was dope. And guess what? It was also my first time, 4 or 5 years later, experiencing being upside down and alone. Meaning I owed more on the car than what it was worth, because the reason he was able to stretch that payment out, I found out later through my literacy, was because he stretched out the term. He took it from like a 5-year loan to like an 8-year loan. So I was stuck in this loan paying interest all these years, not knowing, because I was so focused on the monthly payment because I was illiterate financially. That's just me being real. I was financially illiterate and I had to admit that and then become a student of the game and learn the game. And then since then, when I go, not since then, because I was illiterate probably for a little bit after that too, and a couple more cars later. But at some point I got tired of that and I became educated. And now I've done many deals in a car dealership where the last deal I did with a car